Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are diving deep into one of the most powerful self-improvement concepts ever, and it comes from Dr. Maxwell Maltz's game-changing book, Psycho-Cybernetics. We're going to uncover the invisible force that's secretly dictating your success and failure. So, let me ask you something. Have you ever felt stuck? You know that feeling, right? Maybe there's an income level you just can't seem to break past, or a pattern in your relationships that just keeps repeating itself. You put in all the work, you've got the desire, but it feels like there's this invisible wall holding you back. Well, according to Dr. Maltz, that invisible wall, that something, is your self-image. Now, think of it like a thermostat for your life. If your inner thermostat is set to, say, 70 degrees of success, you'll subconsciously do things to stay right at 70 degrees. It's the master program running in the background, and it defines the absolute limits of what you believe you can achieve. So let's dive into our first section and really pull back the curtain on this invisible governor. What is this thing, really, and why does it have so much power over our lives? You know, this is where Maltz really challenges the whole idea of just thinking positive. He saw positive thinking as a temporary patch on an old coat. Sure, it might cover a hole for a little while, but underneath, you're still wearing the same old coat. For real lasting change, you have to get a completely new garment. You have to upgrade your core self-image. And this story from the book just illustrates the point perfectly. Maltz talks about this salesman who deep down saw himself as a $5,000 a year man. Now, when his company gave him a fantastic new territory, his sales would almost mysteriously slump toward the end of the year. But when they gave him a terrible territory, he'd have this miraculous streak of luck. It didn't matter what the external circumstances were, his income always corrected itself back to his internal set point, $5,000. His reality was literally locked to his self-image. Okay, so if our reality is locked to our self-image, how does that even work? Well, this is where it gets really interesting. Maltz says we are all born with two competing inner autopilots. It's like you've got two different pilots in the cockpit. Let's take a look at what they are. So this is the heart of Psycho-Cybernetics. Now, don't let the word cybernetics throw you off. It's just the study of systems that strive for a goal, kind of like how a guided missile homes in on a target. Maltz realized our brains have this incredible built-in success mechanism. You give it a clear goal, and it automatically starts figuring out a way to get there. But we also have a failure mechanism, which takes the controls when our self-image is negative, and it steers us right into self-sabotage and doubt. And look, this success mechanism isn't some mystical New Age force. It's a natural instinct we all have. A squirrel doesn't need to go to a seminar on how to prepare for winter. A center fielder doesn't whip out a calculator to figure out the physics of a fly ball. Their built-in systems just work. They see the target, and the system automatically computes the path. Your brain is designed to do the exact same thing. But what happens when that other mechanism, the failure mechanism, grabs the controls? It can be terrifying. Maltz tells this unbelievable story of a man named Mr. Russell who was convinced he'd been cursed by a voodoo spell. He started losing weight like crazy, he developed tremors, and within just a few weeks he looked like he'd aged 20 years. He was physically falling apart because of a belief. It was only when Maltz proved to him that the curse was totally fake that the man returned to his old self almost overnight. That is the incredible and scary power of the failure mechanism. So, this is where things get really exciting. If our inner mechanism responds so powerfully to beliefs and images, whether they're true or false, what happens if we intentionally start feeding it the right ones? Well, the answer from research is pretty startling. Let's look at a classic experiment mentioned in the book. Researchers took 3 groups of people to test how well they could shoot basketball free throws. Okay, so Group 1 practiced shooting baskets every single day, and they improved by 24%. Makes sense. Group 2 did absolutely nothing, and you guessed it, they got nothing. But here is the part that should absolutely blow your mind. Group 3 never even touched a basketball. For 20 days, they just sat on a bench and imagined making perfect shots. And their improvement? 23%. That's the whole secret right there. Their nervous system could not tell the difference between a real experience and a vividly imagined one. And this isn't just some weird fluke from a lab study. Some of the greatest achievers in history have been using this for centuries. The chess grandmaster Alahine trained for a world championship match for 3 months, only in his mind. Conrad Hilton mentally played at being a hotel operator for years before he could afford to buy his first one.
They were all programming their internal success mechanism through pure visualization.
Okay, so we've established that we can literally change our performance by changing our inner script. This leads us to the most important question of all. How exactly do we do it?
So you've probably heard of the 21-day rule, right? That it takes 21 days to form a new habit. Well, this is where it comes from. Maltz was a plastic surgeon, and he noticed that after he operated on someone, it took them about 21 days to get used to their new face. He saw the same thing with amputees, who often feel a phantom limb for about 3 weeks. He figured it takes a minimum of 21 days for an old mental image to fade away and a new one to really take hold. So here's the playbook. Step 1, you have to define your target. Be crystal clear. Your success mechanism needs a goal to aim for. 2, spend time every day vividly imagining that outcome. Use all your senses. Feel it. 3, start to act as if you are already that person. And finally, and this is so crucial, you have to de-emphasize past failures. Your brain is a goal-striving machine and needs to learn from successful data, not a constant replay of all your mistakes. So we have the technique, but how do you know it's actually working? What's the signal? Our final section looks at how this all comes together, not just in what you do, but in how you feel. You hear this all the time from top performers. Golf champion Dr. Kerry Middlecoff said that days before he won the Masters tournament, he just knew he was going to win. He called it the winning feeling. And this isn't just wishful thinking. It's a profound signal coming from deep inside. But here's the key takeaway. That winning feeling doesn't cause the success. It's more like a thermometer. It's a signal that tells you your inner machinery is properly geared up for success. It's that feeling you get when your current self-image is perfectly aligned with your goal. It is the ultimate feedback that your internal autopilot is locked on target. In the end, Maltz says we're all kind of like a phonograph. We can keep playing the same old scratched-up record of our past failures and our limitations over and over again. Or we can choose to put on a new one. So the only question left to ask is, what new record are you going to play for yourself today?